Hey there, it's Steve from Serious Keto, and in this video I'm going to be trying out the new keto-friendly butter bun from UnbelievaBuns. I am a pretty big fan of UnbelievaBuns. I've reviewed their hamburger buns, their hot dog buns, and their hoagie rolls. To me, they are the best commercial rolls that I have purchased in terms of ingredients, glucose response, and overall flavor. Now they are, especially when they are not cooked, a little bit chewy. Some people even find them kind of spongy. I find that largely goes away when they're toasted. They're also very hearty. They will stand up to thick sandwiches, thick burgers, juicy burgers, sloppy condiments, but they also have a tendency to overpower weaker toppings or weaker ingredients. For example, the hot dog rolls I think really overpower a hot dog, but work great as a sausage roll for like an Italian sausage or a bratwurst. And the reason I feel it's important to disclose this is if you are not a fan of the UnbelievaBuns and their texture, you are not going to be a fan of anything they make, including the butter bun, because the ingredients are largely the same. In fact, there's only one difference between the butter buns and the hamburger buns, which is the fat that is used. In the butter buns, it's butter. In the regular buns, it's olive oil. I'm going to see what I think of the two versus one another. I'm going to do a glucose test, and then I'll come back tomorrow and throw a burger on one of these and see how it holds up to that. Like the burger buns, these are not pre-sliced, and one of the things that I noticed the moment I took it out of the package is it seems a lot softer in terms of the texture. Now I'm going to test these out the same way I've tested out every bun and bread on this channel, meaning I'm going to have half of this just plain, raw, whatever you want to call it, untoasted, and the other half I'm going to toast and put butter on. Now I realize the addition of the butter is going to blunt the glucose response slightly, but I want this to be consistent with every other review I've done, including my original review of the UnbelievaBun hamburger bun. So we're going to start just taking a bite. Flavor-wise, it's pretty neutral. I mean, it's slightly wheaty, slightly bready, but not really strong in terms of the wheat flavor to it. Interestingly, this has less, at least I think it has less of that chewiness to it that the other hamburger bun had. Fortunately, I've got one of those sitting right off camera, and I'm going to try that just to be sure. So yeah, this is definitely not as soft. It is pretty springy. Definitely chewier. And after eating the butter bun, I feel like the texture is a little bit dry in comparison. So now I'm going to put half of this into the toaster, toast it, butter it, see how that tastes. And while it toasts, let's talk about ingredients and macronutrients. The macronutrients on the butter buns are identical to the hamburger buns. So serving size, 1 bun, calories 119, total fat 4.5 grams, total carbohydrates 8.9 grams, of which 7.1 are dietary fiber. So you're looking at about 2 grams of net carbs and 17 grams of protein. For ingredients, we have water, wheat gluten, wheat protein, oat fiber, sunflower flour, organic flax, modified wheat starch, vinegar, and here's the difference. This is the ingredients from the original buns. I did not have the final packaging on the butter buns, but instead of olive oil, it's butter, then yeast, salt, and stevia. Here's the toasted and buttered half of the UnbelievaBun butter bun. That is really pretty excellent. Like the original UnbelievaBun and all the other UnbelievaBun products, once you toast these, or even better yet, butter it and then griddle them, a lot of that, almost all of that sort of spongy or chewiness texture goes away. Oh man, this is pretty good. For the blood glucose testing, I am wearing a Dexcom G7 continuous glucose monitor, and I'm using the Levels Health Analysis software. I'm going to eat the rest of that bun, and then I'm going to see what impact, if any, it has on my glucose over the course of the next 2 hours, and we'll report back. Alright, it has been about 2.5 hours since I ate that bun. Let's open up the Levels Analysis software and see how my blood glucose responded. A 10 out of 10. That's the best possible score. It is a stable response. Let's see what kind of movement there was. Essentially none. I mean, from the time I ate that bun, at no point did my glucose get higher than before I ate that bun. Very stable response. Not a big surprise though, because every UnbelievaBun product I've tried has scored a 10 out of 10, and I believe the original hamburger bun had just 5 points of movement. So again, a stable response. So while it's not a big surprise, I'm happy to see it regardless. Now though, I'm going to take a little bit of a break, and then I'll come back and I'm going to make up a great big juicy burger and see how this bun holds up to that. I have some onions going here on my Blackstone griddle, and then I have my butter bun, which I have further buttered, and we'll griddle that as well. Then I'm going to make my smash burgers. This is ground brisket. We're going to get a really nice crust on this. And then assemble my burger. I've got some mayo, some tomato, some of those grilled onions. Here's the burger with some butter case cheese on it. Melts wonderfully. A little bit of stone ground mustard. And lastly, some pickles. And there we go. That should test this bun out. So I made sure that this burger was loaded up with enough slop that it ought to just destroy a bun in terms of just juiciness and all that. I mean, this is a brisket burger. And if I squeeze this, look at that juice. That's how juicy this thing is. Oh my gosh, wow. This reminds me of those Wendy's commercials back in the 1970s. Here we go. Look at this. Look at the butter case cheese just melting out of this thing. And this bun is just totally standing up to it. We'll see how it is once we get towards the end, though. Do I still have mayonnaise on my face? So I'm about 2/3, 3/4 of the way through with this burger, and the bun has not gotten soggy. It hasn't torn or crumbled. I would probably compare the texture to this and how well it holds up to a burger, like similarly to a pretzel bun. The chewiness is a little bit different than a pretzel bun, and it doesn't have that white flour taste to it. But in terms of holding up to something that is just a sloppy mess of a burger, this does a great job. So if you haven't figured out already, the butter bun has become my new favorite low-carb hamburger bun. It keeps all the things that I loved about the original bun, mainly its structure, its ability to hold up to sloppy ingredients, and its minimal impact or no impact on my blood glucose. And at the same time, it improves upon one of my little issues with the UnbelievaBun products, is that spongy chewiness. I think these are better than any of the other products I've tried in terms of that. And again, toasting or griddling largely eliminates any of that chew. Now let's talk about who this bun isn't for. If you have a gluten sensitivity, this bun is not for you. If you are opposed to any sort of wheat product, this bun is not for you. And if you live West Coast, probably the bun is not for you, and let me explain why. These buns are made fresh every week. There are no preservatives in them, so they are shipped 2-day priority mail. And as a result, the further you get away from their bakery, which is on the East Coast, the more shipping costs. Now, Jared from UnbelievaBuns has told me that he's looking at trying to find another bakery out on the West Coast to cut down on shipping costs for people that live on that side of the country, but we're not there yet. So if you are probably anywhere west of the Midwest, shipping is going to be pretty steep. However, I will include down below a link to UnbelievaBuns that should auto-apply a 10% discount code on your purchase, though not shipping. If it doesn't apply, you can just put in the secret code word that I also will include down in the description to make sure that it applies. But it should work the moment you add anything to your cart. Finally, I've gotten questions about the UnbelievaBun bagels and flatbread. The bagels, they are still working on. They're still sort of doing test runs on it, so if you have tried the bagels so far, you may not be eating the final product. And Jared has asked me to hold off and not review the bagels until he finalizes the recipe. In terms of the flatbread, Jared has also asked me not to review that, even though I've tried it. I've made some pizza and some cheesy garlic breadsticks, but he's afraid that once I give the review of that it's going to cause a spike in demand that he can't handle quite yet. So maybe next month I'll have my review of that. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please click that like button. If you're not a subscriber already, tap that subscribe button, then hit the bell to turn on all notifications. And if you really, really liked it and want to help support the channel, click on that join button and see what memberships are all about and the perks that go with it. Thanks for watching.